Commander Allison Reeves stared at the sweeping view of Jupiter from the observation deck of Europa Station. 15 years since humans had first broken the light-speed barrier, and still the sight of the gas giant filled her with wonder. The massive planet's swirling storms provided a constant reminder of how small humanity was in the grand scheme of things. "Commander, you need to see this." The voice of Lieutenant Paul Martinez crackled through her communicator, breaking her moment of quiet reflection. Allison sighed. Her break had lasted all of 6 minutes. "On my way," she replied, giving Jupiter one last glance before heading to the monitoring center. Europa Station wasn't much to look at, a collection of modules, buried beneath the icy surface of Jupiter's moon. But its location, far from Earth's electronic noise, made it perfect for its purpose, listening to the stars. When Allison entered the monitoring center, she found Martinez hunched over his console, his dark eyes fixed on a series of waveforms dancing across the screen. Dr. Heather Walsh stood behind him, her red hair tied back in a messy ponytail, excitement clear on her face. "What have you got?" Allison asked, sliding into the empty chair beside Martinez. "Something weird," Martinez said, tapping the screen. "Been coming in for the past 3 days, but I thought it was just background radiation until I ran it through the new pattern recognition software." Allison studied the display. Unlike the random static that typically filled their screens, these patterns pulsed with a strange regularity. "Natural phenomenon?" Dr. Walsh shook her head. "No way. Look at the mathematical precision. Those aren't random pulses. They're sequential. Prime numbers, specifically. And they're repeating?" Allison asked, leaning closer. "Every 42 minutes, Martinez confirmed, like clockwork." Allison felt a chill that had nothing to do with Europa's frozen environment. In 15 years of faster-than-light travel, humanity had yet to make contact with another intelligent species. They'd found plenty of microbes and simple life forms on distant worlds, but never anything that could build a radio, let alone send signals across the stars. "Where's it coming from?" she asked. Martinez pulled up a star chart. "That's the other strange thing. It's coming from deep in the Cygnus arm, at least 1/500 light-years away. There's nothing in our survey data about habitable planets in that region. Unless someone lives there who we haven't met yet," Dr. Walsh said quietly. The three of them sat in silence, letting the weight of that possibility sink in. "We need to alert Earth," Allison finally said, standing up. "And I want round-the-clock monitoring of that signal. Every detail, every variation. I want it all recorded." "Yes, Commander." Martinez nodded, already adjusting settings on his console. "And let's keep this quiet for now," she added. "Just the essential staff." 2 weeks later, the monitoring center had transformed into what the crew was now calling the Nest, a chaotic collection of equipment, half-empty coffee cups, and sleeping bags. Dr. Walsh hadn't left for more than a few hours at a time, working tirelessly to decode the mysterious signal. "It's definitely a message," she announced as Allison entered, carrying fresh coffee for the team, "and I think it's a distress call." Allison set down the cups. "How can you be sure?" Walsh pulled up a series of charts on the main screen. "The pattern changes slightly every few hours. At first I thought it was degradation, but it's too precise. It's showing a countdown." "Countdown to what?" Martinez asked, accepting his coffee gratefully. "I don't know," Walsh admitted. "But whatever it is, it's happening in about 3 months, based on the rate of change." Allison frowned. "Have you made any progress on translating the actual content?" "Some," Walsh nodded. "The basic mathematical principles are universal. They're using them as a foundation to build more complex ideas. I think they're trying to show us images." "Images of what?" Walsh tapped a few keys and a crude image appeared on the screen. What looked like a collection of oblong shapes clustered together. "Ships," Martinez said immediately. "Those look like ships." "That's my guess too," Walsh agreed. "A lot of ships. And this part here?" She pointed to a series of lines radiating from the ships. "I think it's showing power failures or system damage." Allison ran a hand through her short blonde hair. So someone out there has a fleet of damaged ships and is sending a distress call across the galaxy? Why not send it to their own people? Maybe they did, Martinez suggested grimly. Maybe no one answered. The thought hung heavy in the air. Allison's communicator beeped. Reeves here. Commander, there's a UESF vessel requesting permission to dock, came the voice of the station's operations. Officer? The Horizon, Captain Frank Donnelly commanding. Allison raised her eyebrows in surprise. The Horizon was one of the United Earth Space Force's newest exploration vessels, equipped with the latest FTL drive. What was it doing at Europa? Permission. Granted, she replied. Direct Captain Donnelly to my office when he arrives. Captain Frank Donnelly was a broad-shouldered man with a weathered face that spoke of years spent in space. His gray-blue eyes missed nothing as he took in the monitoring center and the tired faces of Allison's team. I see the rumors are true, he said after introductions were made. What rumors? Allison asked, crossing her arms. That Europa station has picked up something big, Donnelly smiled slightly. Word travels fast in the UESF, Commander. Allison glanced at Walsh and Martinez. We've been sending encrypted reports to Earth. How did you hear about this? I have friends in high places, Donnelly shrugged. And when those friends start having closed-door meetings about potential first contact protocols, I get curious. So Earth sent you to investigate? Walsh asked. Donnelly's smile faded. Not exactly. Earth is still debating what to do. The Security Council is split. Half want to send a response, half think we should ignore it until we know more. Politics, Martinez muttered, while someone out there could be dying. Exactly, Donnelly agreed, which is why I brought the Horizon here. I want to see this signal for myself. Walsh pulled up the data they had collected. We think it's a distress call from a fleet of ships about 1,500 light-years away. The signal pattern suggests their systems are failing progressively. Donnelly studied the information, his expression growing more serious by the minute. How long before Earth makes a decision? At the current rate of debate? Allison shook her head. Weeks, maybe months. By then it could be too late, Walsh added. The degradation pattern in the signal is accelerating. Donnelly was quiet for a long moment, then looked up at Allison. What if we didn't wait for Earth's decision? What are you suggesting? Allison asked, though she already knew. The Horizon can reach those coordinates in 3 weeks at maximum speed, Donnelly said. We could at least go see if there's really someone out there who needs help. That would be against protocol, Allison pointed out. Earth hasn't authorized any response mission. Sometimes asking forgiveness is easier than asking permission, Donnelly replied, especially when lives might be at stake. Martinez leaned forward. I want to go. All eyes turned to him. I mean it, he continued. I've been listening to that signal for 2 weeks. I need to know who's sending it. Me too, Walsh added. You'll need someone who understands the basics of their communication. Donnelly looked to Allison. Commander, what do you think? Allison thought about the bureaucrats on Earth, safely debating while somewhere in the darkness of space, unknown beings might be counting down their final days. She thought about humanity's long history of both great cruelty and great compassion. Think, she said slowly, that if humans are going to be part of the galactic community, we should start by being good neighbors. She turned to Walsh and Martinez. Pack your bags. You're temporarily assigned to the Horizon. Donnelly grinned. We leave in 6 hours, just enough time to transfer the signal data and get supplies. As they left the monitoring center to prepare, Allison looked once more at the mysterious signal pulsing on the screen. Humanity's first contact with alien life might not be a historic meeting of diplomats or a scientific exchange. Instead, it might simply be an answer to a call for help. And, somehow that seemed right. The Horizon moved through the darkness of space, its faster-than-light drive humming with power. 3 weeks had passed since they left Europa Station, traveling farther from Earth than any human ship had gone before. Lieutenant Paul Martinez stood at the main viewport, watching the stars blur past. He had barely slept since they departed. Every time he closed his eyes, he heard the alien signal in his dreams. Can't sleep either? Dr. Heather Walsh asked, joining him at the window. Martinez shook his head. Too much going on in my mind. We'll be there soon, Walsh said softly. Less than 6 hours according to Chief Engineer Garcia. Chief Engineer Sofia Garcia was a short woman with a big presence. In the 3 weeks aboard the Horizon, Martinez had learned that her calm confidence was the backbone of the ship. If Garcia said 6 hours, it would be exactly 6 hours. Do you ever wonder if we're making a mistake? Martinez asked. Rushing out here without proper authorization? Walsh considered this. I think ignoring a cry for help would be the bigger mistake. Their conversation was interrupted by the ship's security chief, William Blake, a tall man with a permanently serious expression. Captain wants all senior staff in the briefing room. We're preparing for arrival. The briefing room was crowded with the ship's key personnel. Captain Donnelly stood at the head of the table, his face drawn from lack of sleep. We're about to drop out of FTL near the coordinates of the signal, he began. I want everyone clear on their responsibilities. He nodded to Dr. Eric Summers, the ship's medical officer. Summers was younger than most of the crew, with an enthusiasm that sometimes bordered on naivety. My team is ready for potential medical needs, Summers reported. Though without knowing the alien physiology, our options may be limited. Do what you can, Donnelly said, then turned to a woman Martinez didn't recognize. Ambassador Winters, you were added to this mission at the last minute. Any insights? Ambassador Lisa Winters was a slender woman with silver-streaked black hair and the careful movements of someone used to diplomatic circles. If these beings are advanced enough for space travel, they likely have some concept of diplomatic relations. I suggest we approach cautiously but openly, showing our willingness to assist. And if they see our help as interference, Blake asked, his hand unconsciously touching the sidearm at his hip. Then we respect their wishes, Donnelly said firmly. We're here to offer aid, not force it upon them. The captain looked around. The table. One more thing. Whatever we find out there, remember that you represent not just this ship, but all of humanity. This is first contact. Let's make it count. A voice came over the intercom. Captain, we're approaching the coordinates. Ready to drop out of FTL. All hands to stations, Donnelly ordered. Let's go meet our neighbors. The transition from FTL, travel back to normal space, was always disorienting. A moment of pressure and a flash of light as the laws of physics reasserted themselves. When Martinez's vision cleared, he gasped. Spread across the view screen was a sight unlike anything humans had ever seen. Hundreds of vessels of varying sizes and designs floating in a loose formation. Some were sleek and arrow-shaped, others bulky and utilitarian. All showed signs of damage. Flickering lights, dark sections, debris trailing behind them. My God, Walsh whispered beside him. There must be over 300 ships. Life signs? Donnelly asked, his voice steady despite the incredible view. The sensor officer worked frantically at her station. Readings indicate approximately 2 million life forms spread throughout the fleet, Captain. Many of the ships show critical power failures and life support issues. 2 million, Martinez repeated, stunned by the number. That's not a fleet. That's a civilization. Ambassador Winters stepped forward. Captain, we should establish contact immediately. Those ships won't last much longer without assistance. Donnelly nodded. Walsh, can you send a response using the mathematical patterns from their signal? Already working on it, Walsh replied, her fingers flying over her console, sending basic prime number sequences to establish understanding, followed by simple images showing our ship and our intention to help. The bridge fell silent as they waited. Minutes stretched like hours. Captain, the communications officer finally said, we're receiving a response. The main screen changed to show a strange flowing script that transformed into English letters before their eyes. Some kind of translation program working on the alien end. They're inviting us to approach the central vessel, Walsh reported. And they're thanking us for coming. Donnelly took a deep breath. Helm, take us in slowly. Security. Maintain yellow alert status, but weapons stay offline. Let's not give them any reason to worry about our intentions. The central alien ship was massive, easily 3 times the size of the horizon. As they approached, Martinez could see extensive damage to its outer hull, what looked like scorch marks and missing plates revealing the structure beneath. They're offering docking procedures, Walsh said, studying the incoming data. Their technology is compatible with ours, which is incredibly fortunate. Or perhaps not fortunate at all, Ambassador Winters commented. If they've been monitoring our broadcasts, they might have adapted their system specifically to match ours. The thought that these aliens had been watching humanity, learning about them from afar, sent a shiver down Martinez's spine. The horizon eased into a massive docking bay. Through the viewports, Martinez could see strange figures moving about. Tall, thin beings with forearms and skin that seemed to shimmer with changing colors. "First contact team with me," Donnelly announced. "Walsh, Martinez, Winters, Blake, and Summers. The rest of you stand by." Chief Engineer Garcia approached Donnelly before he left. "Captain, preliminary scans show their life support systems are failing across multiple vessels. Whatever happened to them, they don't have much time left." Donnelly nodded grimly. "Understood. Start putting together ideas for emergency repairs. We might be their only hope." The alien air was breathable but strange, slightly thicker than Earth normal with a sweet, almost floral scent. Martinez's heart pounded as the airlock opened, revealing a delegation of the aliens waiting for them. Up close, the beings were even more striking. Standing nearly 7 feet tall, their bodies were willowy thin with elongated limbs. Their skin shifted colors as they moved, blue, purple, green, like living mood rings. Most remarkable were their eyes, large, multifaceted organs that reminded Martinez of insect eyes, but with an unmistakable intelligence behind them. Ambassador Winters stepped forward, hands empty, and palms up in what humans recognized as a universal gesture of peace. "I am Lisa Winters, representing the United Earth Space Force. We received your distress signal and came to offer assistance." One of the aliens moved forward. Its skin rippled with waves of blue and gold as it raised all 4 of its hands in a mirroring gesture. "I am Zilith," the alien said, its voice coming through a small device on its chest. The words were slightly delayed, suggesting a translation system. "Elder of the Veldari people, your arrival is unexpected but deeply welcomed." Winters smiled warmly. "We're glad we found you in time. Your signal indicated your fleet is in trouble." The alien's skin darkened slightly. "Yes, we flee from our dying star system, but our journey has been difficult. Passing through an unexpected radiation field damaged our propulsion systems and power cores. Many ships can no longer maintain proper life support. We want to help," Captain Donnelly said, stepping forward. "Our engineers are already analyzing your systems to see what we can do." The alien named Zelith made a strange movement, a ripple that passed through its entire body. "Forgiveness, but why would you help us? We are strangers to you. We have nothing to offer in exchange." The humans exchanged glances, confused by the question. "You needed help," Martinez said simply. "You asked for it. Where we come from, that's enough." The alien's skin flashed with bright colors. "Remarkable, truly remarkable. Perhaps the ancient texts were right about your kind." Before anyone could ask what that meant, another alien rushed in, its skin pulsing with alarming red patterns. It spoke rapidly to Zilith in their native language, a series of clicks and musical tones. "What's happening?" Blake asked, his hand moving toward his weapon. Zilith turned back to them, colors now subdued. "One of our nursery ships has lost main power. 500 children are at risk. We have less than 2 hours before life support fails completely." Donnelly didn't hesitate. "Show us. We'll help however we can." As they hurried through the alien vessel, Martinez realized this was exactly why humans had ventured into space. Not just to explore, but to find others. To connect. To help. They had answered the call. Now they needed to deliver on their promise. The nursery ship was in chaos when they arrived. Young Veldari huddled together, their skin flickering between pale blue and gray. colors that Dr. Walsh quickly realized indicated fear. Adult caretakers moved among them, their own skin displaying steady green patterns in what seemed to be an attempt to calm the children. Chief Engineer Sofia Garcia wasted no time. With portable diagnostic equipment in hand, she headed straight for the ship's main engineering section. "The backup systems are barely functioning," she reported after a quick assessment. "We have maybe 90 minutes before complete failure." "Captain," Donnelly turned to Martinez. "Contact the Horizon. Tell them to prepare emergency power transfers and have all available personnel ready to assist with evacuations if necessary." Martinez nodded and stepped aside to relay the orders. Dr. Eric Summers was already working with the Veldari medical staff, trying to understand their physiological needs. "They require less oxygen than we do," he explained, "but they're extremely sensitive to temperature changes. If life support fails completely, they'll begin dying within minutes." Garcia looked up from a panel she had opened. "Their power cores use a completely different technology than ours. I'm not sure our equipment will be compatible for long-term fixes." "We don't need long-term right now," Donnelly said. "We just need to buy enough time to evacuate if necessary." A new voice joined the conversation. "Perhaps I can be of assistance." They turned to see a human man they didn't recognize, tall with short brown hair and a confident stance. "Jack Wilson," he introduced himself. "Engineer specializing in propulsion systems. Earth sent us as soon as they got your message about finding the Veldari fleet." "Earth sent you?" Donnelly asked, surprised. "How did you get here so quickly?" "We've been pushing our engines to the limit for the past week," Wilson explained. "We brought supplies, additional personnel, and emergency equipment." He gestured behind him where more humans were entering, carrying cases of equipment. "Reinforcements?" Martinez breathed relief evident in his voice. 3 ships worth," Wilson confirmed. "The Reliance, the Venture, and the Unity. Earth may have been slow to make a decision, but once they did, they committed fully." Donnelly allowed himself a small smile. "Glad to hear it. Now let's save these children." Working alongside the Veldari, engineers Garcia and Wilson devised a temporary solution, adapting human power cells to supplement the failing alien systems. It was a delicate process, requiring precise calculations and adjustments to prevent power surges that could make things worse. "The connections are holding," Garcia reported, wiping sweat from her forehead. "We should have stabilized life support for at least 48 hours. Enough time to implement more permanent repairs," Wilson added. The Veldari engineer they had been working with, a being named Tezim, whose skin constantly shifted in patterns of blue and green, made a gesture that resembled a human bow. "Your people's willingness to adapt your technology to ours is unexpected," Tezim said. "Most species we encountered before were protective of their methods." "Knowledge is meant to be shared," Garcia replied simply, "especially when lives are at stake." As they were speaking, First Officer Daniel Grant entered the engineering section. Grant was Captain Donnelly's right-hand man, a calm presence even in the most stressful situations. "Captain wants you all in the main conference room on the central Veldari vessel," he said. "They've discovered something about the Veldari that changes things." Dr. Nicole Carter was a xenobiologist who had arrived with the reinforcements from Earth. She stood at the front of the conference room, displaying complex biological scans on a large screen. "The Veldari aren't just suffering from ship failures," she explained to the gathered human and alien representatives. "They're experiencing genetic degradation." Elder Zillith's skin darkened to deep purple. "We had hoped to keep this private matter to ourselves." "I understand your desire for privacy," Dr. Carter said gently, "but this information is crucial for us to help you effectively. Your people's cellular structure is breaking down at an accelerated rate." "Is that why they're so physically fragile?" Captain Donnelly asked. Carter nodded. "Their genetic code is becoming unstable. It explains their sensitivity to environmental changes and radiation exposure." "Is it contagious?" Security Chief Blake asked bluntly. "No," Carter assured him. "It appears to be a condition unique to their species' biology. possibly the result of generations of living in artificial environments. All eyes turned to Elder Seelith, who seemed to deflate slightly. "It is true," the elder admitted. "Our species has been in slow decline for generations. Our home world became uninhabitable centuries ago due to our sun's increasing radiation. We have lived aboard ships for so long that our bodies have weakened. That's why you were so badly affected by the radiation field you passed through," Martinez realized. "Yes. What might have merely damaged the ships of a healthier species nearly destroyed us entirely." Seelith's colors shifted to a deep blue. "But this is not the worst of our troubles." Captain Donnelly leaned forward. "What do you mean?" "We did not leave our star system just because it was dying," Seelith said, voice lowering. "We fled because we were being hunted." The room fell silent. "Hunted by whom?" Ambassador Winters asked. "The Murakari," Seelith replied, the translation device somehow conveying the dread in the name. "A predatory species that seeks out weakened civilizations. They consider it their right to eliminate those they deem unfit to exist in the galaxy." Dr. Walsh's eyes widened. "Social Darwinism on a galactic scale. They have pursued us for generations," Seelith continued. "We thought we had finally escaped them when we changed course toward your region of space. But the radiation field we encountered slowed us down significantly." "Are they still following you?" Blake asked, his military mind already calculating potential threats. "We do not know," Seelith admitted. "Our long-range sensors were damaged in the same incident that affected our propulsion systems." First Officer Grant, who had been quietly listening, finally spoke up. "How dangerous are these Murakari?" "Their technology is advanced," Seelith said. "Their weapons designed specifically to cause maximum pain before death. They consider hunting and killing to be an art form." The humans exchanged troubled glances. "Well," Captain Donnelly said after a moment, "that changes things, but not our commitment to help you." Seelith's skin flashed with surprised colors. "Even knowing we brought this danger to your doorstep?" "You didn't bring anything," Donnelly corrected. "You were running for your lives and asked for help. We answered. That's all there is to it." "Ambassador," Winters nodded in agreement. "Captain, I suggest we organize a fleet-wide evacuation plan. We should transfer the most vulnerable Veldari to our vessels, which have more robust defenses." "Agreed," Donnelly said. First Officer Grant, coordinate with the Veldari leadership. Prioritize children, medical cases, and essential personnel." "What about the potential Murakari threat?" Blake asked. "We'll need to get at least some of these ships operational enough to move," Donnelly replied. "And we should send a message back to Earth, warning them of the situation." Engineer Wilson cleared his throat. "Captain, I've been studying the Veldari propulsion systems. With some significant modifications, we might be able to integrate elements of our drive technology with theirs. It won't be pretty, but it could get their largest ships moving again." "Do it," Donnelly ordered. As the meeting continued, a young Veldari rushed into the room, skin flashing with urgent red pulses. It spoke rapidly to Elder Seelith in their native language. The Elder's colors drained to a pale gray. "A Murakari scout ship has been detected at the edge of this system. They have found us." The room erupted in concerned voices until Captain Donnelly raised his hand for silence. "How long until they could reach this position?" "At their typical speed, less than 2 days," Seelith replied. Donnelly's face hardened with resolve. "Then we have 2 days to prepare these ships for either escape or defense." He looked around the room at both humans and Veldari. "I suggest we get to work." As they filed out of the conference room, Martinez found himself walking beside Dr. Walsh. "Did you ever imagine," he asked quietly, "that answering a distress call would lead to potentially fighting an alien war?" Walsh shook her head. "No, but I also can't imagine turning our backs on them now." Martinez looked at the Veldari moving alongside the humans, the two species already working together despite their differences. "Neither can I," he said. "Neither can I." The next 48 hours were a blur of activity. Humans and Veldari worked side by side, racing against time to prepare for the Murakari arrival. Engineer Laura Murphy, a specialist in defensive systems who had arrived with the reinforcements, led a team adapting Veldari technology to work with human weapons. Their defensive shields are actually quite advanced, Murphy explained to Captain Donnelly, her hands covered in grease as she connected alien circuitry to human power cells. They just never developed much in the way of weapons. The Veldari are fundamentally peaceful, which made them perfect targets for the Mrikari, Donnelly said grimly. The Veldari engineer Tezim worked alongside Murphy, his skin shifting in patterns of concentration. Deep oranges and yellows that the humans were learning indicated focus and determination. Our shields were designed to protect against radiation and space debris, Tezim explained, not weapons fire. Your offensive technology could give us the protection we've never had. As they worked, a new ship arrived, larger than the others, that had come from Earth. Its hull bore the insignia of the United Earth Space Force Command. Admiral Ross is here, First Officer Grant announced, entering the makeshift command center they had established. Admiral Kevin Ross was a legend in the UESF, a veteran of the Mars Rebellion, and one of the first captains to command an FTL, a vessel. His presence made it clear how seriously Earth was taking the situation. Ross walked into the command center with an air of authority that made both humans and Veldari stand straighter. His silver hair was cut military short, and his eyes missed nothing as he surveyed the room. Captain Donnelly, Ross acknowledged with a nod. I see you've been busy. Admiral, Donnelly replied, wondering if he was about to be relieved of command for his unauthorized mission. We've been doing what we can to assist the Veldari fleet. Ross studied the tactical displays showing the hundreds of alien vessels and the 4 human ships positioned among them. I bring new orders directly from Earth Command, Ross announced, his voice carrying across the room. All human vessels are to withdraw immediately from this region of space. The Veldari situation has been deemed too high risk for continued involvement. A shocked silence fell over the room. Elder Silith's skin turned a pale, ashen color. Sir, with all due respect, Donnelly began, withdrawing now would condemn nearly 2 million Veldari to death. The Mrikari will be here within hours. I'm aware of the consequences, Captain, Ross said flatly. Earth is not prepared to enter an interspecies conflict that could put humanity at risk. The decision has been made at the highest levels. Martinez stepped forward, unusual boldness in his normally reserved demeanor. So we just leave them to die? After we promised to help? Ross turned cold eyes on him. Lieutenant, this is not a democracy. These are your orders. Prepare your stations for departure within the hour. The room erupted in protests, not just from humans but from the Veldari present as well. Admiral Ross raised his hand for silence. This is not open for discussion. Captain Donnelly, I expect your compliance. Donnelly looked around the room, at his crew who had worked tirelessly, at the Veldari who had trusted them, at the tactical display showing the approaching Mrikari ship. No, he said simply. Ross's eyebrows shot up. Excuse me? I said no, Admiral, I will not give that order. Donnelly's voice was calm but firm. We made a promise to these people. I won't break it. Then you'll be removed from command, Rossi warned. To everyone's surprise, First Officer Grant moved to stand beside Donnelly. You'll have to remove me too, sir. One by one, the human crew members in the room moved to stand with their captain. Martinez, Walsh, Blake, Summers, Garcia, Wilson, and Murphy. This isn't a mutiny, Admiral, Donnelly clarified. These are individual choices. Anyone who wishes to return to Earth is free to do so, but those of us who choose to stay will stand by the Veldari. Ross looked at the united front before him, and something in his stern expression shifted. You realize, of course, he said more quietly, that I could have all of you court-martialed when this is over. If we're still alive, sir, Donnelly replied, we'll happily face those consequences. Ross was silent for a long moment. Then a small smile tugged at the corner of his mouth. Well said, Captain. He turned to address the room at large. Let the record show that I delivered Earth's official orders as required. He paused, then continued, in a different tone. Now, unofficially, what's our tactical situation and how can my ship assist? The tension in the room broke as understanding dawned. Ross had been testing them. He had never intended to leave. "You sneaky old star dog," Donnelly said with a relieved laugh. Ross shrugged. "Had to be sure you all really believed in what you were doing here." He turned to Elder Zilith. "My apologies for the performance. Earth has no intention of abandoning your people. Quite the contrary. I've brought additional supplies and a full complement of combat specialists." Zilith's skin rippled with bright colors of emotion. "Your species continues to surprise us, Admiral." "Ross, that's what humans do best," Ross replied with a wink. "Now let's prepare to meet these Murakari properly." 2 hours later, the sensor arrays detected the arrival of the Murakari fleet, 7 heavily armed warships with sleek, predatory designs. That seemed built for intimidation as much as function. "They're hailing us," Communications Officer Liu reported. On screen, Donnelly ordered from the bridge of the horizon. The view screen flickered to life, showing a being that sent chills down the spines of the humans present. The Murakari had a vaguely reptilian appearance, scales covering leathery skin, vertical pupils and yellow eyes, and a mouth filled with needle-like teeth. Its voice, when translated, was cold and amused. "This is Hunt Master Zrek of the Murakari Dominion. We claim this Veldari prey by right of strength. Stand aside, unknown vessels." Admiral Ross, standing beside Donnelly, stepped forward. "This is Admiral Kevin Ross of the United Earth Space Force. The Veldari are under our protection. They are not prey, and they are not yours to claim." The Murakari's eyes narrowed. "You defend the weak? This is not logical. They offer you nothing." "They asked for help," Ross replied simply. "For humans, that's enough." "Then you will share their fate," the Murakari hissed. "We always appreciate new hunting challenges." The communication cut off. "They're powering weapons," Blake reported from the tactical station. Ross and Donnelly exchanged glances. "All ships, defensive positions," Donnelly ordered. "Protect the Veldari vessels at all costs." Pilot Andrew Phillips's voice came over the comm. "Strike squadron ready for deployment, Captain." "Launch when ready, Phillips," Donnelly replied. "Deploy the sensor mines as planned." The Murakari ships surged forward, firing their first volley of energy weapons, but they weren't prepared for the combined human-Veldari defenses. Laura Murphy's integration of the two technologies proved brilliant. The human ships absorbed the attacks with modified Veldari shields, while returning fire with earth weapons the Murakari had never encountered before. Phillips led his fighter squadron in a daring maneuver, deploying specialized mines that disrupted the Murakari sensor systems. Suddenly blind, the Predators found themselves at a disadvantage. The battle raged for hours. 2 human ships sustained heavy damage, but the defensive perimeter held. The Veldari vessels that had been repaired enough to move were already retreating to safety, the most vulnerable civilians aboard. When 3 of the Murakari ships had been disabled and a 4th destroyed, the remaining vessels pulled back. "They're hailing us again," Liu announced. The Huntmaster's face appeared on screen, now showing a mixture of rage and grudging respect. "Your species fights with unexpected skill," the Murakari said. "Perhaps you are worthy prey after all, unlike the weak Veldari." "We're not interested in being anyone's prey," Ross replied firmly. "And neither are the Veldari. Leave this region of space and do not return." "This is not over," the Huntmaster warned. "We will return in greater numbers. And we'll be waiting," Donnelly promised. As the Murakari ships retreated, cheers erupted across all the human vessels. Martinez found himself embraced by Dr. Walsh, both of them laughing in relief. "We did it," Walsh said. "We actually saved them." "And made a new enemy in the process," Martinez reminded her. "But also a new ally," Walsh pointed out, looking at the Veldari working alongside humans throughout the ship. In the days that followed, Earth officially extended sanctuary to the Veldari refugees. Plans were made to establish a new colony, where the displaced aliens could rebuild their civilization under human protection. 1 month later, as the combined fleet prepared for the journey to Earth, Martinez visited the Veldari education vessel, where the youngest aliens were being taught. He paused at the entrance to a classroom, listening as a Veldari teacher explained something to the children. The humans came because that is their way, the teacher was saying, skin glowing with warm colors. Throughout their history, even when fighting among themselves, they have a tradition of answering calls for help, of running toward danger rather than away from it. The teacher displayed images of human history, firefighters rushing into burning buildings, rescue workers responding to disasters, ordinary people helping strangers in need. This is why we now call them friends, the teacher continued. Not because they are perfect, they are not.